Ethan Cole was a millionaire CEO, always busy. But one afternoon, something made him come home early, something he couldn't ignore. What he found inside his own home would change everything forever. The security gate slid shut behind the black sedan with a soft, unfamiliar finality. Ethan Cole noticed it immediately. That gate was never supposed to close this early. At exactly 2:17 p.m., in a quiet, tree-lined American neighborhood where identical mailboxes stood like silent witnesses, Ethan sat in the back seat, staring at his phone. His meeting abruptly canceled, his chest heavy with a feeling he couldn't explain. For the first time in years, the millionaire CEO had come home early, not because he wanted to, but because something inside him insisted he had to. As he stepped out of the car, the house stood before him large, pristine, and lifeless. The kind of home that looked perfect from the outside, but swallowed sound once you walked in. No laughter, no cartoons playing, no tiny footsteps racing across the floor. That was strange. 4-year-old Lily was usually home by now. She should have been talking nonstop about colors, numbers, or the picture she drew at school. Instead, the house greeted him with silence so loud it pressed against his ears. Ethan loosened his tie and walked in. Then he heard it. A sound thin, broken, and trembling came from upstairs. A child's cry. Not the dramatic kind that faded quickly, but the kind that carried pain, confusion, and fear far too big for a 4-year-old heart. His heart skipped. "Lily?" he called, already moving faster. The crying grew louder, desperate, mixed with another voice strained, panicked. "No, sweetheart, please stop." It was the nanny. Ethan took the stairs 2 at a time. Outside Lily's bedroom, the door was half open. What he saw froze him in place. Lily was pressed against the wall, her tiny backpack still strapped to her shoulders. Her face was red and wet with tears, her little hands gripping the straps like they were the only thing keeping her upright. She shook her head over and over, sobbing uncontrollably. "No school! Please! Daddy! No school!" she screamed between cries. The nanny, Rachel, knelt in front of her, clearly overwhelmed. Her hands hovered in the air, unsure whether to touch Lily or step back. "Lily, I'm trying to help you," Rachel said, her voice breaking. "We're just going to—" Lily screamed louder. Ethan stepped forward. "What is going on?" Rachel gasped and turned around. "Mr. Cole, I didn't know you were home." But Ethan wasn't listening anymore. He dropped to his knees in front of his daughter. Hey, it's Daddy." Lily's eyes found him, and something in them shattered him instantly. This wasn't a child throwing a tantrum. This was terror. She lunged into his arms, clinging to him like she was afraid he would disappear if she let go. Her cries muffled against his chest as her small body trembled violently. "I don't want to go back," she sobbed. "Please don't make me go back." Ethan felt his throat tighten. "Back where, baby?" he asked gently. Lily hesitated. Her fingers dug deeper into his shirt. Rachel swallowed hard behind them. And in that moment, as Ethan held his crying child, a terrifying question crept into his mind, one that made his blood run cold. What had been happening to his daughter every single day, while he was away building an empire? And more importantly, why had no one told him? Ethan carried Lily to the living room, her arms locked tightly around his neck as if the world might collapse the moment he let go. He lowered himself onto the couch, rocking her gently, whispering the same words again and again. "You're safe. Daddy's here. You're safe." But Lily didn't stop crying. Her sobs softened, yet her body stayed tense, like a frightened bird unsure whether the danger had truly passed. Ethan felt it, every shallow breath, every tremor. This was not the kind of fear that disappeared with comfort. Rachel stood a few feet away, wringing her hands. "I've never seen her like this," she said quietly. "Every morning this week, it's been getting worse. She refuses to get dressed. She cries when she sees her backpack. Today, she wouldn't even put on her shoes." Ethan's jaw tightened. And you didn't think to call me? Rachel's eyes filled with tears. I did. I left messages with your assistant. They said you were in meetings. Always in meetings. That hit harder than Ethan expected. He had built systems to protect his time. Layers of people. Filters. Barriers. Somewhere between boardrooms and conference calls, his daughter's fear had been screened out. Ethan looked down at Lily. Her eyes were swollen. Her lashes clumped with tears. She clutched a small, stuffed rabbit in one hand, the fabric worn thin. Lily, he said softly, brushing her hair back, can you tell Daddy why you don't want to go to school? She shook her head violently. No, she whispered. Ethan didn't push. Instead, he held her closer. He remembered something his late mother once told him. Children don't hide the truth because they want to lie. They hide it because they don't feel safe enough to say it yet. He stood up. Rachel, can you give us a moment? Rachel hesitated, then nodded and quietly stepped into the kitchen. The house felt different now, smaller, heavier. The ticking clock on the wall suddenly too loud. Ethan carried Lily upstairs to his bedroom and sat on the edge of the bed. Sunlight streamed through the windows, warming the room, but Lily still shivered. Daddy, she said suddenly, her voice barely audible. Did I do something bad? His heart cracked. No, sweetheart. You didn't do anything bad. Then why? Her lips trembled. Why does my tummy hurt every morning? Ethan froze. Every morning, he swallowed. What makes it hurt? Lily looked at the door, then the window, then back at her father. Her eyes searched his face, as if measuring whether he could really protect her. Daddy, she whispered, leaning closer. Can you promise something? Yes, he said instantly. Anything. She wrapped her tiny fingers around his tie, holding him there. Promise you won't be mad, she said, and promise you won't go away again. The words cut deeper than any accusation. I promise, Ethan said, his voice breaking despite his effort to stay calm. Lily took a deep breath, and just as she opened her mouth to speak, a loud knock echoed through the house. Both of them startled. Ethan looked toward the door, his heart pounding, a sudden dread settling in his chest. Whatever Lily was about to say, something or someone had just interrupted it. The knock came again, firm, impatient. Ethan gently stood, setting Lily down on the bed. Stay here, okay? Daddy will be right back. She nodded, but grabbed the edge of his sleeve, refusing to let go until he kissed her forehead. I'm not going anywhere, he promised. Downstairs, Ethan opened the door to find the school transportation coordinator standing on the porch, clipboard in hand, a polite but confused smile on her face. Mr. Cole, we were told Lily wasn't on the bus today, she said. I just wanted to check if everything was all right. Ethan felt something tighten in his chest. Yes, he replied slowly. Everything is being handled. The woman nodded, unaware of the storm forming behind Ethan's calm tone. We'll mark her absent today. Then, please let the school know if... I will, Ethan said, more firmly than necessary. As he closed the door, his reflection stared back at him, in the polished glass tie, loosened, eyes darker than usual. For the first time in years, the company's quarterly numbers meant nothing. There was only one priority now. Lily. He returned upstairs. She was sitting exactly where he left her, hugging her stuffed rabbit so tightly its ears were bent. Daddy? She asked, her voice small. Are they here to take me? No, Ethan said quickly, kneeling in front of her. No one is taking you anywhere. Her shoulders relaxed slightly. He sat beside her. You were about to tell me something, remember? Lily nodded but didn't speak. Ethan glanced around the room. Her walls were decorated with stars and soft colors, everything designed to make a child feel safe. Yet fear lived here too. He noticed something, then her backpack lay open on the floor, a crumpled drawing halfway pulled out. He picked it up. It showed a small girl standing alone beside a big building. Dark scribbles surrounded it. In one corner, a stick figure with a straight line for a mouth stood far away. Is this you? Ethan asked gently. Lily nodded. And this place? He pointed to the building. That's where Daddy drops me, she whispered. Ethan's heart sank. What happens there, Lily? She pressed her lips together, eyes filling again. They don't listen, she said. When I say I don't feel good, they say I have to be brave. Ethan clenched his fists. Who is they? He asked calmly. She shrugged. The big kids. And sometimes, the room. The room? Ethan repeated. Lily's body stiffened. She climbed into his lap, lowering her voice. The quiet room, she whispered. When you cry too much. Ethan felt a cold wave wash over him. What happens in the quiet room? Lily hid her face in his chest. They close the door, she murmured. It's dark. I call for you, but you don't come. Ethan shut his eyes, breathing carefully so she wouldn't feel his anger rising. How often do they put you there? He asked. Sometimes, she said. Mostly when I miss you. Those words destroyed him. Every late night, every missed bedtime, every time he told himself he was working for her. Ethan hugged her tightly. Daddy should have listened sooner, he whispered. She looked up at him. Will you still love me if I don't go back? Ethan's answer came without hesitation. I will always love you, he said, and no one will ever make you feel alone again. But as he held her, one thought thundered in his mind. If this was what Lily had been hiding, how much more was still unsaid? Ethan didn't sleep that night. Lily lay curled beside him, her small hand resting on his chest, rising and falling with each steady breath. Every time she stirred, his heart leapt, afraid her nightmares would return. He stayed awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying her words again and again. The quiet room. I call for you, but you don't come. By morning, guilt had settled into his bones. At dawn, Ethan made a decision that would have terrified his board of directors. He canceled every meeting, every call, every obligation. For the first time since Lily was born, his world narrowed to a single purpose: protecting his child. Rachel arrived just after 8, her face tight with concern. She froze when she saw Lily still in pajamas, sitting at the kitchen table eating pancakes Ethan had made himself. She's not going to school today, Ethan said calmly. Rachel nodded, relief washing over her face. I think that's best. After breakfast, Ethan knelt beside Lily. Sweetheart, would you like to show Daddy where you go every day? Her eyes widened. Today? Yes, he said. But only if you want to. I'll be with you the whole time. Lily hesitated, then slowly nodded. The drive was quiet. Lily held his hand from the back seat, and Ethan felt how cold her fingers were. As the school building came into view, her grip tightened. That's it, she whispered. Ethan's jaw clenched. From the outside, the place looked ordinary. Bright murals, flags fluttering, parents dropping off children, smiling, waving. No one saw what his daughter saw. They parked. Ethan carried Lily inside, ignoring the curious glances. The front desk staff greeted him warmly, recognition lighting their faces. Mr. Cole, what a surprise, one of them said. Is Lily feeling better today? Ethan met her eyes. We need to talk. The principal joined them moments later, smiling, confident, unaware. They sat in a small office, with motivational posters lining the walls. Ethan spoke carefully, deliberately. My daughter has been experiencing severe distress here. The principal frowned. We do our best to encourage independence. Sometimes children need time to adjust. Ethan leaned forward. She told me about a quiet room. The smile faded. It's a calming space, the principal said quickly. Used only when necessary. How often? Ethan asked. A pause. We document everything, she replied. I can pull the records. When the file appeared, Ethan's hands shook as he read it. Dates, notes, words, like emotional episode, and separation difficulty. No mention of fear. No mention of tears. He stood up. My daughter is 4, he said, his voice steady but dangerous. Missing her father is not misbehavior. The room fell silent. Ethan picked Lily up. We're leaving. As they walked out, Lily buried her face in his shoulder. "Daddy," she whispered, "are you mad at me?" Ethan stopped. He held her gently, making sure she saw his face. "No," he said. "I'm mad at myself for not being there sooner." Outside, as the doors closed behind them, Ethan realized something painful and undeniable. Money had given him everything except the ability to hear his child cry. And now he had to ask himself, how many other parents were trusting this place, without knowing what happened after goodbye? Back in the car, Ethan held Lily's hand tightly, her small fingers entwined with his. The street seemed quieter now, the sun filtering through the trees, but the weight of what had just happened pressed on him like a stone in his chest. He wanted to scream, to demand answers, but more than anything, he wanted to make sure his daughter felt safe again. "Daddy," Lily whispered, her voice barely audible over the hum of the engine. "Will you always stay with me?" Ethan's throat tightened. He swallowed hard and looked down at her, seeing the mixture of fear and hope in her wide eyes. "I promise," he said softly. "I'll always stay with you. You'll never be alone in a place that scares you again." Lily's tiny lips curved into a shy smile, and for the first time in weeks, Ethan saw her relax. She leaned against him, and he felt a rush of relief that he had come home early, relief that he had found her before the fear grew deeper, relief that he could finally be the father she needed. That evening, back at their house, Ethan and Lily sat on the couch, reading storybooks under a warm lamp. Laughter slowly returned to the walls of the home. The once silent house now held the soft, comforting sound of a child's giggle. For Ethan, it was a sound worth more than any deal, any stock, or any achievement. Rachel cleaned up quietly in the kitchen, watching them. "I've never seen her this calm," she whispered. "Thank you for being here, Mr. Cole." Ethan nodded, still holding Lily close. He knew it wasn't just about today, it was about every day forward. He had missed too much, and he wasn't going to let that happen again. He would make changes at home, at work, in every corner of his life, because nothing mattered more than Lily's happiness. Later that night, after tucking Lily into bed, Ethan stood by her doorway and watched her drift into peaceful sleep. The fear was gone, at least for now, replaced by trust and love. And yet, as he turned off the light and closed the door, a thought lingered in his mind like a shadow. How many other children were quietly suffering in places where adults assumed everything was fine? How many parents were unaware, just like he had been? Ethan sat down, staring out the window at the city lights stretching into the distance. He had found the courage to be present, to fight for his child, but the question remained hauntingly clear. If this could happen to Lily, the child of a millionaire who checks everything, how many little voices were still being ignored, and who would listen before it was too late? The room was silent, except for the soft, steady breathing of a child finally feeling safe. But outside, the question lingered, echoing in the hearts of anyone who might read or hear it, urging them to look closer, to ask, to care. And in that silence, Ethan knew one thing with certainty. He would never let Lily feel invisible again. If this story touched your heart, don't just watch, show it. Like this video to support stories that matter. Comment below. What would you do if your child was scared every morning? Your answer could help someone else see they're not alone. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss an emotional story that will make you think, feel, and maybe even change the way you see the world. Share this with someone who needs a reminder. Being present matters more than anything.